a man is carried a mile across Kansas. Fish and toads rain from the sky. The Oblingers hunker down in their heavy sod house, clinging to their newfound independence.
I think that we're a nation of people descended from tough old coots and tough old broads. And I say that with great admiration. They just wanted to control their own future and to have children who could control their own destiny.
Tornadoes aren't the only biblical challenge the Oblingers face. By a river in the Rockies, the end of the world is brewing. A prehistoric species emerges to battle for the Great Plains. Locusts. After devouring the local vegetation, they release pheromones that signal it's time to move on. They grow long wings. Swarms head east on the wind. They join up over the Great Plains and become a plague. In 1874, they devour half of the crops in the West. 3 trillion locusts. Half a mile high, 100 miles wide, 1,000 miles long, as big as Colorado. They block out the sun. Agricultural Armageddon. To men like Uriah, the locusts are the wrath of God. By 1892, half the population of western Nebraska goes back east. Uriah stays.
You have to be brave in order to achieve in this country because nothing's set right there for you. You have to take chances. And I think bravery and fear are the same things. It's just a matter of how you react to that same feeling.
Those who stick it out get lucky. Within 30 years, the locust is extinct. Its breeding grounds in the Rockies plowed over by settlers like Uriah. In 10 years, the Great Plains become the breadbasket of the country. For the first time, America can feed itself. Today, 50 million tons of wheat is farmed each year. But trees are still scarce, and to build towns, settlers need wood. In Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, loggers harvest over 50 million acres of trees. Green gold. A magnet for Scandinavian woodsmen. Between 1825 and 1925, a third of Norway's entire population comes to America, including Nils Haugen.
The pay was $3 a day. You had to have a good pair of driving boots, well caulked, to be able to keep on top of the logs.
There's millions of dollars at stake. If the flow of logs stops, towns can't be built. Logjam, Riverman's ruin. In 1886, pine to build 20,000 homes gets stuck on the St. Croix River. 150 million feet of wood. Remove the right log, and the rest will explode downstream. Rivermen die, clearing obstructions like this. In 1892, 2 billion feet of lumber will be cut in Wisconsin alone. The railroad feeds lumber into the West's construction boom. Towns are built so fast, there's no time to name streets. They're given letters and numbers. The Great Plains is also home to the most numerous species of large wild mammal on Earth. 30 million buffalo. Herds up to 25 miles long race to summer breeding grounds. A collision course with the modern world. The railroad brings a new kind of hunter to the Great Plains. Driven by profit, fresh from the carnage of the Civil War. Two million rifles are in circulation. Over 1 million veterans trained to use them have a new target in their sights. Frank Mayer, Civil War vet, buffalo hunter.
I had nothing to look forward to in civilization. I was crazy about guns.
Mayer tracks 2,000-pound buffalo, easily capable of crushing a man. He picks them off from 200 yards.
If you could kill them, what they brought was yours. They were walking gold pieces.
Hunters harvest the buffalo for its hide. In 1872, they shipped over 1 million out of Kansas alone, worth $3 a piece back east. On a good day, Mayer earns more than the president. Factories use long strips of buffalo leather as drive belts. Small pieces become coats and shoes. To meet demand, hunters kill 8,000 buffalo a day for their hides alone.
For Americans, this is progress because this is a natural resource. From the Indian perspective, they couldn't understand what the white people were doing. But of course, they knew that the decimation of those buffalo herds would change their lives forever.
The Plains Indians depend on the buffalo and worship them.
The buffalo were our strength, from whence we came, and at whose breast we suck as babies all our lives.
Black elk is 6 years old when the railroad arrives. Unlike the white hunters, his people waste none of their kill. Sinews become bowstrings. Bones are cups and spoons. Skin is clothing, teepees, and coffins. Native Americans and buffalo have coexisted since the last ice age. Black elk's ancestors hunted them on foot. There were no horses to ride. The modern horse isn't native to North America. Spanish conquistadors brought them from Europe in 1493. Some escaped to the Great Plains, perfect horse habitat. 400 years later, over 1 million Mustangs run wild. Taming horses transforms the life of the Plains Indian. They become expert horsemen.
The battle cry went up, "Hookah!" which means to charge, and the hunters went in for the kill.
On horseback, the bow is the weapon of choice. In the time it takes to reload a gun, a warrior can ride 300 yards and fire 20 arrows. Buffalo can run at 35 miles an hour. Hunts cover hundreds of miles over many days. It can take 15 arrows to kill a buffalo. White hunters like Frank Mayer use a single cartridge. He aims for the lungs. A clean kill drops a buffalo without disturbing the herd. $30 million are killed in little over a decade. After hunters take the hides, trainloads of men arrive to pick their carcasses. They make buttons from bones and grind down skeletons for fertilizer and porcelain. The primary resource keeping Native Americans alive is gone. Facing starvation, they're forced onto reservations.
My great-great-grandmother, Grandma Big Eagle, was alive when buffalo hunting ended. They weren't just saying goodbye to a kind of a food stuff. They were saying goodbye to a way of being in the world. And I think for them to look back on that was just unspeakably sad.
In 1889, just 85 wild buffalo exist in the whole United States. The men who ride the great iron horse are taming the wilderness. The railroad will bring another modern American icon to the Great Plains. The last of the great frontiersmen. The cowboy. (1865). The Civil War leaves cities on the eastern seaboard stripped of resources. The country's booming population needs food. In Texas, over 6 million cattle roam wild. Worth $4 a head here, but back east, they're worth 40. By 1868, the railroad spreads from the east, crossing Kansas, but it hasn't reached Texas. There's still 1,000 miles of Wild West between the herds and the railroad. For that kind of cattle drive, America needs a new kind of hero. The cowboy. After the Civil War, 60% of the South's population lives in rural poverty. In search of work, a new kind of adventurer heads west to cattle towns like Abilene, Wichita, and Dodge City. One farmhand heading to Texas is Teddy Blue Abbott. 23-year-old Teddy Blue is the son of a Nebraska homesteader.
My father wanted to tie me down and make a farmer out of me. Never. I ran away from home to become a cowboy.
The cowboy mentality, it's a spirit of individualism. I have a communion with the land, with my horse. It symbolizes a resistance to authority.
Teddy Blue is one of 35,000 cowboys who will drive cattle to the railroad in Kansas. Standing in their way, 1,000 miles of untamed West, unforgiving terrain, and gangs of rustlers. For only $1 a day, cowboys must be skilled horsemen and cattle wranglers. The lasso dates back to the ancient Egyptians.